Well, hello everybody, welcome to Tousi TV, your global news channel. I'm Tousi and we come to you guys today with some good news. First, we're going to start with good news, then we're going to end the day with doom and gloom and negativity as usual. A big victory for Nihat Korbani as an independent journalist and Tousi TV reporter. A huge victory for new media and independent journalism in general, and of course a huge defeat for Sadiq Khan's stormtroopers in London. We're going to go through all the updates that we have. Some of you are familiar with Nihat, who is obviously a Tousi TV reporter. He also does his own work, and he's been harassed by the police in London for the past year and a half for simply reporting from the Palestinian protests. Now, the Islamists and the far left don't like him. They complain to the police about his presence at these protests being controversial and offensive. His existence is offensive. And the police continue to bully him and harass him and arrest him. He has now been arrested by the Met Police in London more than he was ever even arrested in Iran by the morality police. Of course, Nihat was originally from Iran. He's a genuine political refugee who cares about the United Kingdom and wants to send a message that, as I always say, don't turn Britain into another Iran. So the good news is, well, the bad news was he was arrested 2 days ago on Saturday in London. He was held until now at the police station, and then he went to court earlier. We have some information about what actually happened in court. We have a quick video statement from Nihat as well. We're going to go through all that. Beforehand, we have another good news. This is just full of good news. The Tousi store has officially been launched, in case you didn't know. Yes, you can go on tousistore.tv or find the link in the description. If you're a member of Tousi TV Plus, which is on tousi.tv down here, you get 10% discount, and you can find that on our chat forum on Discord on the announcement channel. Now let's talk about Nihat. I did a video call with him. Of course, he's known as Mr. Banana Man to some people. Mr. Banana Man had his banana while he was talking to me. This was him at a restaurant straight after the court, finally eating food. He didn't eat food. He was on coffee. He kept drinking coffee in jail. So, what happened here? First things first, during the court, so he had conditions on him if he wants to go to this protest to report for Tousi TV and for other publications, right? The condition was quite simple, right? They initially said you have to have a press pass. So we said, okay, fine, press pass, simple. And then they said you need a press bib to make sure it says press. Like, okay, fine. He did that. Then they came after him on Saturday at the Palestinian protest. They got him, some of the police officers don't like that he wears a Union flag hat. But also, they didn't know exactly why they were going to arrest him. Then they were trying to find evidence because he didn't break the condition. He didn't breach it. Then they discovered, this is where it gets very, very interesting. So he went to jail. They took him to the police station. For 22 hours, they left him alone. This is torture treatment. 22 hours, nothing. Then eventually they interviewed him. When they interviewed him, they went through the evidence, as in what was in his bag. After 22 hours, they found a hat. Not that hat, a different hat in his bag that had a Star of David. Uh-oh, that's not allowed in Sadiq Khan's London, apparently. So they were going to use that against him, saying, boy, he had a hat in his bag, and if it was their reporting, and that's a problem. So they took him to court. The police requested further conditions on him. They asked the judge, specifically to limit his ability to report. Basically, they wanted to ban him from fully reporting as a reporter. They said that the police are doing this because they want to keep him safe, apparently. That's what they said. The magistrate's court didn't agree and said that the bail conditions were already strict enough and that his breach was not the worst breach they had seen. Now, the breach was there was a hat in the bag. A hat in the bag. So the judge said, let him go. Obviously, as long as he carries his press pass, you know, if he goes to these protests, fine. He's allowed to have whatever he wants in his bag, as long as he's not displaying anything controversial political. It's fine. Let him have a hat with the Star of David, or the Union flag, or whatever he wants in his bag. It's fine. The police were embarrassed. They were humiliated. And now we have a quick video statement from him. Obviously, he said, thank you to each and every one of you who sent me messages and supported me and showed concern for my well-being. I was released after 48 hours in detention and a video appearance in court. On the advice of my lawyers, I'm unfortunately not able to talk about the details of the arrest, right? So, obviously it's not allowed, but obviously we had some information from the courts themselves, right? Let's quickly go to that video.
Hi everyone, I'm released after 48 hours in police station cell. I want to just say thank you so much for your support and for your kind messages. I get really appreciated. Thank you for your support and be always supportive. Thank you so much. About the case, I'm not allowed to talk about. In future, I will update you. Thank you so much, and especially thank to my friends who come today and supporting me. Thank you, love you all.
So that was Niak, Mr. Banana Man, who continues to do great work. And he's the one who's able to go to central London because apparently he has no fear of any consequences. And I'm unfortunately not able to always be in London because of the death threats against me and the fatwa. But he's there to do the job for Tousi TV and obviously for others. And if we didn't have people like Niak, we wouldn't see the truth on the streets. And these are the sort of things I used to do as well when I used to go out on the streets. And every now and then I still do anyway. But you know, we have a big team to help us with this. But for example, recently, look at these two snowflakes. These two left-wing, middle-class champagne socialists who were exposed by Niak because he was there. This was recently when the British Indian community came out to protest, especially when it came to the conflict with Pakistan. And there were Indians there. And of course, there were also the allies to India. That includes, they had Union flags, you had Israeli flags, because obviously when people want to protest for Israel, you also get the Indian flags, Union flags. It's all an alliance of those who love life and freedom. And this was what Niak captured on the streets because the mainstream media is not there to do their job. Watch this.
Sorry. Why are you showing your middle finger to the Indian? What's the reason? I don't understand.
Israeli flags.
What? For the Israeli flag.
Yeah.
Just you show. Yeah.
If you stand with oppressors, you're gonna get oppressed.
You just showing your middle finger because of the Israeli flag. Yeah. Why are you running?
No one's running. You're following.
I want to just asking you. Yeah, you're running. You scared? You scared?
Scared of what?
Yeah, you
Scared of what?
You scared?
Scared of what?
Yeah. This is what Niak does, by the way. And he keeps going back despite the troubles that he faces. I mean, when people like me and Niak do these sort of things on the streets, you have to deal with the imminent threat on the streets. You have to deal with the trolls. You have to deal with all these crazy people out there as part of these so-called protests. But then we also have to deal with the police under the leadership of Sadiq Khan or Sad IQ Khan, who instead of keeping us safe, their job is to harass us for simply doing our job. they don't even understand their own laws. They don't even understand their own powers. And it's becoming a big problem where every single time the police gets taken to court and they lose and they get embarrassed and they continue the same circle. You remember the situation with Tommy Robinson a year ago where he was dragged outside of a coffee shop after eating breakfast and they pepper sprayed him, getting about 30 police officers. And obviously they went to court and at the end of the day, the police lost. I'm getting some videos being sent by Niak. I'm guessing he's watching this.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
What's going on here? Hang on.
We don't need to.
Let's see.
I just really film this message and I want to send to you, but as you say, that's happening to me, and after that I just focus on going live on
Okay.
Twitter to actually.
So it's giving me more. There's a couple of videos he sent me, Niak, as we speak. He obviously is now celebrating. Has come out of court victorious. What is this thing? Let's see what Niak has sent us. I hope they're relevant. I hope they're not like naked pictures. Or photos of bananas, you know him. I'm going to get your reaction in the live chat as well. But before we do that, I think this is this sort of stuff that Niak has been filming again, reporting. He's not giving up his job. He continues to cause chaos. Rightly so. Expose the truth. Let's quickly go to see what we have received from Niak.
So as you see, social worker, communist, all party, leftist parties are here. Road gonna close. Report what's going on and what's happening. Actually going around to Waterloo Bridge and coming down from Waterloo Bridge to here, and the speaker is going to be made their speech here, and this is for the PSC, as you see. Yeah. So today is Nakba Day, as you see. The bus from other cities, they come in London to make protest for Nakba Day. Yeah.
So, for those of you who've joined late, there's some more information about what actually happened in court. And this is my own information that I've received. The police's narrative was, they wanted to ban him from reporting from Islamist protests because they said they wanted to protect Niak. The police wanted to protect Niak, right? And they said that every time the police are there to basically be present, it angers the Palestinian side, that all the police are like, they're escorting him, right? So it makes the job of the police more difficult because they're now offending the Islamists. The lawyer on behalf of the Met Police requested that he shouldn't be able to go to these protests because this happens. He has to just go to counter protests and do his own activism. The judge requested that. You know, all this stuff is nonsensical. Every single time we have these hearings in court, again, as I said, the situation with Tommy Robinson was yet another example. The police lost because the police officers were saying, oh, we messed up when they were filling out the form after arresting Tommy for having breakfast in London. They said, oh, because we were dyslexic. How does that work? Suddenly everybody from the police becomes dyslexic. It's so embarrassing. Anyway, while we are here, let's get some reaction. Got a couple of super chats. Willpower, thank you very much, saying, stop Starmer. He cannot overrule Brexit. The problem is he can, and he's doing it already. We'll talk about that later properly, but obviously this is the new agreement to reverse Brexit. He can because the power is on the executive branch, which is the government, Downing Street. They can easily ignore the referendum. They can. Unfortunately, they can. Now, on a human level, they shouldn't. They can't do that. On a constitutional level, they can, because since then, even what the Remainers would say, anti-Brexiteers, the referendum was advisory. Well, yeah, constitutionally speaking, it was advisory. But on a human level, if you want a good democracy, the government should implement it. And we left the EU technically, only technically, and now it's up to the government if they want to take us back in. Now they have to deal with the backlash. That's it. Disgusting. So they try to breach his human rights, Ivan says. Yeah, and they seem to be fine with that, but they failed. Again, they failed. Let's see. Okay, let's have a look. Ivan also says that nobody can keep Nyack down. Yeah, or his banana. The problem with that was that, so as I said, for 2 days he was held and he didn't eat food. He was just drinking coffee, and for hours and hours, about 22 hours, basically the whole day, they just left him alone. They didn't, and then they eventually interviewed him. I don't know why it took him that long to interview. It's just torture treatment that they always do. But he's still strong. He came out and he got a new banana. The Gaming Murph says, leftists be like, no war, stop the violence, then turn around and punch reporters for asking questions. What a wild world that we live in. Yeah, it's the same with the Palestinian supporters who say, well, we just want to fight against violence coming from Zionists. And they're like, okay, so what do you support? The right of Hamas and Hezbollah. Like, to be violent? Yeah, by any means necessary. Like that, so you're not against violence, you're simply against Israelis being forceful and defending their country, but you're in favor of the other side being violent. Cynthia says, since this was a bogus arrest by the police, he should be compensated monetarily for false imprisonment for 2 days. Don't ask me to do the maths. It's maths, not maths. Cynthia. Oh, the Americans are going to get offended again. Stu says the police want to stop him being near the violent protesters. How about stopping and punishing the violent ones? This is the key point. Stu is right. It's not that difficult to understand the logic here, right? If you are afraid that there's going to be violence caused in some place, focus on the people who are about to cause that violence. And once they do cause violence, go and arrest them and punish them. The police in the United Kingdom, they are spending more time trying to prevent future potential crimes. They're going to predict it, like Minority Report, the movie. No, it's not your job to prevent it. This level of policing needs to completely change. It doesn't work. You go after the actual criminals. When somebody causes violence, you go after them. That's it. This maintaining peace nonsense, it doesn't work in 2025 in a multicultural United Kingdom. Go after the criminals. We've got a lot of them out there. I have some non-super chats as well. What kind of police do you have in London? But that's the thing. We have a police force that cares more about backlash and the PR, what happens in the media, and how the police officers feel and everything else, mental health. And they spend more time trying to maintain peace and order. Stop it. Just go and target actual criminals. But it's the job of the Home Office to change that. It's the job of the MPs in Parliament to change the way that the police is structured in the country. And it says, how can he be in police custody for 48 hours? Was he charged and remanded to appear at court? Yes, all that's now done. I mean, yeah, there was a whole process that they did. Of course, they make sure that it's to the last second of the threshold. And then they took him to court, although it was a video via video link, so he was still in the police station while he did it. He didn't actually physically go to the court, and now there seems to be no repercussions for the police. They keep getting away with this. They continue to do the challenges and they lose, and there's no punishment. You have to take legal actions. You have to sue them. You have to actually let them face consequences. Zana Central says, Zana says, Central London is not safe. Yeah, it's kind of turned into a war zone. So it's a bit of a, it depends who you are. If you keep your head down, all that will happen to you, you might just get mugged. You might just get a little bit stabbed, but it's fine. But if depending on who you are, then you might also just get, attacked randomly. And that's what happens to people like me and Niak. Sean says, I have a GB Union flag car sticker on my car. I live in Great Britain, not the UK, as Labour and the EU choose to call us. Okay, so no, yeah, you don't want Northern Ireland, basically. Northern Irish, let's just let go of Northern Ireland suddenly. Anyway, Simple says, the police must be made to understand their job, and there must be penalties against officers for overstepping the boundaries. Yeah, but there doesn't seem to be. It depends who they do this to. If they make a mistake and do whoopsie and bring a bogus claim against someone who's more left-leaning, because the newspapers will cover it, because the BBC and Sky News and all the broadcasters will cover it, GB News, all the mainstream media channels, then the police will actually be punished. But when it happens to Tousi TV, when it happens to Niak, none of the mainstream media channels care. Nothing has been said by BBC News, by GB News, by Sky News, by the newspapers. They don't care. They want the ratings. For example, even the ones that are not fully left-wing channels, but they are still mainstream media, like GB News, they simply want the sexy things so that they could get the clicks, they could get, obviously, the advertisers and everything else. So they don't tend to actually care about truth. They don't. The sort of stuff that happened to me with the police leaking the report with my name and information and Niak's name as well, and Mark Burberg, the three of us, GB News knew about it, but they refused to report. That was on purpose. This happened many times. But if it's someone that suits their narrative, of course they will cover it. And the GB News supporters, they're like, this is such a good channel. Yes, of course they have to cover this. For example, my good friend, Alison Pearson, because she's a mainstream media journalist, the police also threatened her for some mean tweets. Same thing happened to me. If you guys remember, they tried to arrest me. But Alison Pearson's story became big. Newspapers covered it, prime ministers made statements, GB News, Sky News, everybody talked about that. Oh my God, journalism, yeah, Alison Pearson is being attacked by the police. Yeah. Now, Alison is a great woman, and I'm glad that she won that, and it was right that the media should have covered it, but they only did it because Alison Pearson is part of the mainstream press. She's an author, she's a journalist. The same thing happens to people like me and Niak and others. They don't want to cover. That is the issue. It's a double standard. Another super chat saying his hourly rate of £50 say charge the police every hour that they hold him back for earning his professional wage. Love this channel. Yes, well we go. See, Northern Ireland, they're not going to be happy about that comment about Great Britain instead of UK. Yes, although I will not confirm or deny whether Niak gets 50 or more or less. I do pay him usually in bananas, so that's what he gets. He gets 50 bananas every hour. Visible Sun says you won't hear Reform UK talking about it as they are control, but it won't help them. And to be fair, you don't really expect political parties to talk about things that it's not going to help them gain votes. See. Depending on what party is targeting what audience. So the centrist parties like the Tories and Reform and relatively Labour, apart from Keir Starmer's crazy cabinet, they would, for example, talk about Alison Pearson, but they wouldn't talk about me or Niak. Definitely not Tommy, because obviously they would say Tommy Robinson's branding is toxic. Fine. I will concede on that, right? Let's just say Tommy Robinson's branding is toxic. Fine. What about Niak? Is Niak toxic? Really? I'm not even going to talk about me, Niak. But it doesn't suit their narrative. If they can gain votes from it, the parties will always talk about certain things. There's a couple of other super chats. Yes, we got Trish saying from Canada saying, I wonder how things would change if all involved in falsely knowing arresting people, if they were to personally lose a week or month's pay. So I think there's a big crisis when it comes to the policing culture. So even if you have all these police officers who, let's just say, either, yeah, as I said, falsely or knowingly, like, unintentionally or intentionally doing a bad thing, arresting me or Niak. If you just give them a small punishment of, okay, you're going to lose a month pay, they still have that culture in their head. They're going to do the same thing. Even unintentionally, it's hardwired. You have to get rid of people who have that mentality. That's how it starts. You have to have a proper reform in the system. Otherwise, there's no point. The whole of the policing structure, and the fact that they call themselves a police service instead of a police force, that is already a signal that they don't even take themselves seriously. What do you expect? It's disgusting. Melvin says, what? I caught Tousi live. How did that happen? You clicked on the button. The perfect timing, I guess. Izzy says, America banned the Texas city. It's on the news. Yes, we did get the confirmation on that. There was going to be a lot of protests about that anyway. So that the Islamic city is not gonna happen. Gary says, typical cowards. Oh, this is about the girls, the left-wing girls that we showed you. And they can't answer questions on the subject, don't even know why they are there. Run away and keep running. But the thing is, they run away first and then they punch the reporter. So we have some quick update, actually. Speaking of courts and challenges, the Supreme Court in the United States, we have confirmation, has now cleared the way for President Trump to remove legal protections from 350,000 Venezuelans. Now, obviously, they could all now be deported. So that's 350,000 people from Venezuela, illegal migrants, who can now be illegally deported because the Supreme Court has now backed the decision coming from the executive branch. This is the sort of thing that we don't really get in the UK, which is a whole different problem. So we don't really have the Supreme Court making correct decisions based on the precedent, because the Supreme Court in the UK is very different to the US in the sense that we weren't supposed to have it. It's a very Americanized idea. The rest of the structure in the UK is very different to the US. We don't have a codified constitution in that sense. And we don't have, for example, separation of church and state in the UK, although practically we do, but constitutionally we don't, right? Church of England and the state is the same thing. And we have a parliamentary system, obviously. In America, it makes sense to have a Supreme Court. In the UK, it makes no sense to have a Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court in the UK, which was only created about 20 years ago, just over 20 years ago, was created by Tony Blair, the former Labour Prime Minister, and it just completely messed up the whole thing. So all his friends, all his left-wing friends, infiltrated it. They became judges as part of the Supreme Court, and they just stay there. There's no accountability. There's no scrutiny. You can't just do what you do in the United States, where you can actually have oversight and actually find out who's going to be appointed to the bench. It's an embarrassing situation in the UK. That's why what I read about the Supreme Court in the US giving permission, confirming the legality of President Trump's policy to deport the 350,000 Venezuelans, that would never happen in the UK. The government will come up with something, the Supreme Court will just block it for political reasons. We had the same thing with Brexit. When we voted to leave the EU, and the Supreme Court was saying, we don't really care. We're just going to block it. We're going to make it hard. Now, eventually we left the EU, although we then left Northern Ireland inside the EU for some reason. But we know the reason, stupid reason. And now we're in this mess that Keir Starmer is able to basically reverse Brexit, and the Supreme Court is backing it. Super chat saying, those girls, we have a name for those types here in California. Arrogant, self-absorbed beach balls. Or could have been worse. Could have been much worse. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. We are now celebrating this massive victory against the Met Police in London. And to celebrate this, we have launched the Tousi store. Finally, after decades, we've finally done this. TousiStore.tv. Check out the link in the description. Go have a look. We got all these new designs that you can get from, obviously, my pronouns are leave me alone. I support free speech, even yours. Cancel me if you can. There's so many different ones as well. Go check it out for yourselves. And it's not just t-shirts. We've got all the different products as well. We are adding more products. If you're a member of Tousi TV Plus, you get 10% discount for the products that you're going to buy. Just go and check out the discount code, which we put on the chat forum on Tousi.tv. Become a member. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya Tousi, and we are the media.